If you have any questions about the Cat Buns system, now is a good time to ask. So, and as Robert Van Nest did say, and this is probably more pertinent now since we've just hit level 80, when you are changing around your stats in order to offset the lost accuracy, don't forget that the SP kitty coin here is going to give you a minimum of 2.5% accuracy, and when you get it high enough, it'll double that and give you 5% accuracy. But as a minimum, you should calculate in this 2.5% if you have the Pink Cheese Cat with SP Kitty Coin. Wesley asks, what's the best cat buns for healers? So the best cat bun for healer is actually going to be the Waffle Cheese Cat. As you can see here, the SP long lasting mark is the best cat bun for healers because it has a large attack increase here. The rest of the effects here are not as important as this main attack because this is non-conditional. This is non-conditional attack in the sense that it doesn't require you to do anything to get this attack. It is flat permanent attack. Because of this being the best for healers, in the early game or somewhat early game of the Cat Bun system, I had said DPS needs to wait until level 9 bakery to start fusing generation 3 Cat Buns, but because the healer's best is the long-lasting mark, they could start all the way from level 8. So if you're a healer and you're still ranking up your cat bun system, you can start fusing your generation 3s from level 8 because that's when you can get the Waffle Cheese Bun. You don't have to wait until 9 like DPS do. Chris says, when should I evaluate my cat bun? Do I just evaluate all my non-recommended buns? I don't think there's necessarily a super rigid understanding of when it's best to evaluate cat buns. As long as you're confident that the cat buns you're using to evaluate will not have any use for you in this class change or the next class change, then you can pretty much use anything that's not going to benefit your main team. So do keep in mind you can transfer evaluates. So if you get a better flavor cat bun, you can transfer the evaluate to that new cat bun. But yes, in general, Chris, it's pretty safe if you're for sure confident that the cat bun you're using to evaluate isn't better than the one you have equipped, then you can go ahead and use it. As you can see here, I have 4 purple, 1 gold, and 3 blue here. So I have been using plenty of cat buns for evaluating. Deki, I don't have a Google Sheets Cat Bun guide, but if you check my YouTube channel, there are several cat bun related guides that have quite a lot of information. There's a playlist. You can check the playlists on my channel. There is a Cat Buns playlist that has all the information you might need. After Nightweaver class change, am I going to need different flavors because class change 3 is thunder, not fire? That's correct, and it's a good thing you mentioned this. I want to show this again to people who are not 100% clear on this. When you are analyzing what cat buns are best for you, when you look at the fuses that you have, you're not just looking at your current class. You're going to go into your class change quest icon here, and you're going to take a look what element your next class change is going to be. And in my case, it's going to be thunder. Because I know it's going to be thunder, if I'm looking at my cat buns and I see, oh, I actually have a cat bun that gives, let me see where the thunder one is. Fire, ice, thunder. So if I have a cat bun that gives benevolent and meowy, if I have a benevolent and meowy cat bun, even though I'm not using that as a Nightweaver, I would save that because I will use that for my next class change. And because of how rare it is to get the best in slot cat buns, you would really be hurting yourself if you don't save cat buns that are going to be good for your next class change as well. And that doesn't matter if you're a free to play, if you're a light spender, if you're a whale, it doesn't matter. It's the same RNG we all have to face. It's 0.4% chance to get a best in slot flavors cat bun. So you don't want to waste a perfect roll for your next class change by throwing it away by mistake. So always check that. Mimi, let me know if you have any further questions because I think I answered that when I just spoke about evaluating. Tank looks like fire, then you should be holding on to fire. Sorry you're late, but what cat bun is best for DPS? No worries. The cat bun for DPS is going to be the Pink Cheese Cat here, which gives the SP Kitty Coin, and it's important to understand exactly why this is best because people will look at this and say, oh, that looks pretty good, but why is it pretty good? And let me show you why this is the best for DPS. Because at its base, triggers every 10 seconds. There's a 50% chance to increase your accuracy rate by 2.5% and all damage by 7%, or a 50% chance to double the stats increase. So what this means is there's a 50% chance you'll get 2.5% accuracy and 7% damage, and a 50% chance you get 5% accuracy and 14% damage. And this happens every 10 seconds. So this is a permanent buff in combat. Now what makes this interesting is as you evaluate this cat bun, you get to the 4 purple stars here, which increases your chance of doubling the stats by 25% per 2 SP cat buns. So if you have 4 UR cat buns here, this effectively means you're going to have a 100% chance to get the doubled stats every time. Plus, if you look at the max orange here, you're going to have an additional 0.5% accuracy and an additional 13% damage. Rather, it increases to 30% damage. So you're going to have 6% accuracy and 26% damage when it's doubled. That's insane. And in order to get this Pink Cheese Cat, you have to remember, you need to wait until you have Bakery level 9 as a DPS. If you're a DPS and you don't wait until Bakery level 9, you will not get your best in slot UR cat buns, because you have to wait to add them to the pool here. Once they are added to the pool, you have a chance to fuse them, and before that, you'll never get them. So it's very important you don't accidentally blow all your Gen 3 cat buns fusing when you don't even have your best in slot unlocked. So hopefully that helps. What is Blessing of the Cat Bun God? Is it only coming from the level 5s? Let's take a look at that. So there are a couple things here. So for example, the tail here, you can see you gain 1 stack of the blessing whenever you enter combat. And depending on which trait you have, it gives different effects. But there's 1 stack here from tail. Shell here is gaining an additional stack of blessing after 30 seconds into the battle. So this is 2 stacks. So 1 stack when you start the battle, now 1 stack after 30 seconds. And I believe that's the only sources, unless they add more sources in the future. It will be these 2 sources, 1 at the start of battle and 1 30 seconds into the battle. Those are the 2 sources of that blessing. So I have to wait until level 9 to combine. If you are a DPS, you have to wait until level 9 Bakery to combine so that you can have a chance to fuse your best in slot cat bun. That is correct. Are SSR cat buns with all the same flavors superior compared to UR cat buns with random flavors? No, they're not. So the correct approach when it comes to cat buns is actually going to be prioritizing getting to UR first, because the additional stats you get from getting to UR are significant enough that it is more important to have a full team of URs than it is to have SSRs with perfect flavors. Now, there will be some cases perhaps in the early progression of cat bun where you would justifiably run an SSR instead of a UR, but that's not a long-term solution. That's simply in the meantime until you get something better. So realistically, no, but in some early game cat bun situations, yes. How about for tanks? So tanks are actually in an interesting situation because unfortunately there is only one really good cat bun when it comes to tanking, and that's going to be not a UR, unfortunately. It's going to be an SSR, and that is this Layered Cheese Bun, which gives broken Meow Clock. So once per battle, if you either take lethal damage or a single damage hit exceeds 50% of max HP, you gain a shield of 100% of your max HP for 2.5 seconds. That's pretty significant because what this lethal damage here won't stack with Turning Point, but this second condition here will activate on its own, which is if you get hit by a boss and it takes more than 50% of your HP in one hit, you get a 2.5 second shield. And that shield could be extremely useful for allowing your healer enough time to heal you back up to full HP before you get another hit. So if you're tanking a trial boss, for example, this could be very good. As far as URs go, there's really not much that compares because most of the UR is focused on damage increase. So that's why it's really that's the best one, and then you would run 4 URs for doing DPS. Is it better for you to have a variety of cat buns or stack multipliers on those you know are great? You should prioritize. You don't have to unnecessarily save URs. If you have a lot of these pink cheese cats, for example, it'll be more in your benefit to evaluate 1 to a high level than to stock up like 6 of them for future reasons. As long as you cover your current class change and the next class change, you're going to be in good shape. You don't need to stockpile more than that. You should use the additional ones that are not as good for evaluating purposes. Is Serene the best for red flavor for DPS? Let's take a look. No, Serene is not the best. Lively is the best because it's a better condition on the level 3. So the Lively increases damage taken by 5% and increases all damage dealt by 7%. This is not a very bad condition to have as a DPS because you're not usually tanking anything. If you look here, reduces damage dealt to non-boss enemies. If you're in certain boss fights, the boss will sometimes spawn non-boss enemies. So you're going to reduce your damage to them in exchange for dealing more damage to the boss that actually might hurt you more than it might help you in some situations. So because of that, Lively is the better condition. What's the blessing of Cat Bun on flavors? We went through that earlier, but just to recap quickly, it is a stack of a buff that you get from both the tail and shell slot. One at the start of combat and one 30 seconds into combat, and it gives various effects depending on the trait you have. What does the awesome Cat 3 do, the reward from the ball beginning soon? That is a good question because this is actually Cat Plushie. Essentially what this is, when you collect 50 of these from the dailies, you will be able to use this for evaluating. So it replaces one Cat Bun in evaluating, basically. And you have a 25% chance to get one of the available URs. So hopefully, most people will be hoping to get a Pink Cheese Cat if you're a DPS. But yeah, that's how that works.